Hello everyone, welcome to our Millionaire Realtor Insights. Today I've got Mr. Jared Time, 3 times PropNex millionaire with me to share his insights on one of the latest new launch, Thomson Reserve. So Jared, would you like to do an introduction of yourself?
All right. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Master, for having me here on this podcast today. Hello, everyone. I'm Jared Tan. I've been in this industry for 5 years now, coming to my 6th, and I've been blessed to serve many families and clients, investors, families, and looking for upgrade their properties or invest in real estate. I've also been blessed to achieve a 3 times PropNex millionaire title, and I'm looking forward to achieving my 4th this year.
Great, Jared. So, in today's Millionaire Realtor Insights, I'm particularly interested in this up-and-coming new launch, Thomson Reserve. And I wish to find out from you, in particular, what makes this Thomson Reserve so attractive? Because I myself, as a property investor, have been looking at a lot of new launches this year, and Thomson Reserve caught my attention. And of course, many Imperial Harvest clients, we are all very interested in this particular new launch, and we wish to find out from a Millionaire Realtor perspective, what makes this project so compelling?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I think Thomson Reserve is easily, I would coin it as the blockbuster launch of 2026 easily. Many of my clients who have served in actually the last 12 to 18 months, a lot of them actually are waiting out just for this very launch. They're even giving up like past launches, for example, the Lantor launches or the River Valley launches, really just in anticipation for this Thomson Reserve that's expected to launch in October. I guess in Singapore, a lot of the buyers are really attracted by location, as the tale goes. So whenever a property that's actually launched in a pretty much good location where you're surrounded by a lot of upgraders or downgraders or basically owns home dwellers, generally there is a lot of buzz around the area. Also, Singaporeans also like to live by near an MRT, which Thomson Reserve is just a doorstep to Upper Thomson MRT, and of course you are surrounded by quite a lot of amenities also. So I would say that's primarily the main reason that's getting so much buzz for this blockbuster launch upcoming in 2026 October.
So Jared, I understand that land cost has always been one of the closely watched factor when it comes to evaluating whether this particular new launch is going to be an attractive new launch that's going to be undervalued for investors. And maybe could you give some insights on what is the land cost for Thomson Reserve?
All right. Okay, so as we know, Thomson Reserve is an en bloc project. It was actually the former Thomson View that was en bloc by a consortium of developers, mainly UOL, Singland, and Capital Land Group, the absolute best, most elusive kind of developer pedigree that you can expect. The surprising thing is that when they en bloc this project, the average land cost for this en bloc is actually approximately about 1,178 per square foot per plot ratio. And you just draw that in comparison with what the land cost is trading like for the city fringe properties right now. You can see the screen. Averagely now, based on just last 6 months alone, we're talking about examples of Telok Blangah GLS, Dorset Road, Kallang Close, Tanjong Roo, or even like Dover Rise just recently, right? These are all trading in the ranges of 1,003 to 1,004 per square foot per plot ratio. Wow. And their locations are not like drastically better, or they are in comparison. We're talking about apple to apple city fringe comparison. So what is trading right now is almost about 10 to 20% more than the actual land cost of Thomson Reserve. So that's why I think a lot of people are so excited. They're expecting kind of like an undervalued buy or maybe a good bargain. But land cost is not only the only factor that you look at when you talk about an entry price.
But I think definitely the land cost is going to make this project a lot more attractive compared to some other new launches, because already the developer has a 10 to 20% cost advantage compared to other launches. Another very closely watched factor that I will definitely pay attention to as an investor, it will be the neighboring resale projects around Thomson Reserve. So Jared, maybe could you help me understand? I think one of the resale project that I'm looking at would definitely be Thomson 3. Maybe can we use that as a basis for comparison as compared to Thomson Reserve?
Definitely. Actually, that is the most immediate comparison factor that most people would draw. So I actually have a map. Actually, I took the extra liberty step to compare not just Thomson 3, but also more recently Jadescape and also AMO Residence. So they are in the years of 2017, 2023 and 2026 respectively. And later you will see the evolution of harmonization efficient and of course more efficiency in terms of layouts, what the floor plans will look like. But just coming back to the original question on price, what is exactly Thomson 3 currently trading at? So the superficial buyer who just looks at price at surface level will immediately have the impression that Thomson 3 is currently trading around 2002, 2003. And of course, in a stark comparison, as of today, the time of recording, we don't have a firm pricing on Thomson Reserve yet, but we have based on land costs and of course recent transactions around the city fringe launches to estimate a certain price guide. Later, we'll share that with you later. But a lot of people are just taking at face value that Thomson 3 right now is trading around 2002, 2003 PSF. All right. We are using 3-bed premium as the example of today's topic. They are roughly averaging around a quantum about $2.4 to $2.7 million today. Okay, just take note that this is a 2017 project. I just want to bring your attention to what is the correct way to actually compare this apple to apple. Because the truth is you can't really compare a 13-year-old difference kind of a project together side by side. You need to have a mechanism to normalize this old project back to, say, a fresh, brand new 99 to then compare it apple to apple. So this mechanism is what we call the lease reset disparity. Okay, so if you just pay attention to the first column here, which is Thomson 3 in 2017. So on face value, what we're getting is that we're seeing the PSF of 2002 to 2003. But take note that this is a tenure, 99 years from 2012. So basically, it has only 85 years left in terms of the lease. So if we do a fresh, brand new reset back to 99, actually this brings the PSF based on a brand new 99 to almost 2007 PSF. And please take note that for Thomson 3, it's a non-harmonized project. So meaning to say that later we'll show you the layout. It actually takes into consideration a lot of wasted spaces, the aircon ledges, the balconies basically expand through the entire unit, and these are all counted into your PSF. So if you actually normalize that into today's harmonized calculations, that is actually looking at like an effective PSF of approximately 2009 PSF.
Wow.
For a project that is 85 years left, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So actually, for the average buyer who just probably look at face value, you're comparing Thomson Reserve and Thomson 3, and then there's a stark disparity. Unfortunately, that's probably not the only thing that you should be just looking at itself.
That's a very important insight, I think, for our audience as well, because most of the audience, I think, when we first approach this, PSF topic itself, I think the first point of consideration is, wow, Jared, if I look at the resale, I'll be getting it at 2002 to 2003. Why should I pay another $500 to $600 premium? And I think when we apply this list reset concept, then it's very illuminating that actually for Thomson Reserve, the audience is actually paying a very, very fair price for a brand new project.
Correct. And later on, maybe towards the end of the podcast, we also touch on what the relevance is by buying an updated layout, updated design. You realize that you are a little bit more future-proof when you talk about exit strategy. You are definitely more robust in terms of how you choose your buyer pool audience next time. They are more assured to be buying an updated design. So many buyers that I serve today, they have this special requirement that having an updated layout that's future-proof, that's really have a wider audience when they exit next time is very important. So that's why some of the projects, even though they're cheaper in terms of face value PSF, but they may not have the same exitability as what the newer projects have.
I think definitely as an investor, if I look at Thomson 3, if I'm paying for so much wasted space, and as we all know, balcony is less relevant in today's living context, and especially when you have a balcony that stretches across the entire unit stack, that makes it altogether, less relevant for today's buyer context. What about Jetscape? Because I understand Jetscape is also another blockbuster project that made a lot of investors a lot of money, and I think even till today, we still got a lot of investors who are also looking at Jetscape, as a potential project. Yeah,
Jetscape is one of the biggest behemoth property in District 20, I would say. But maybe allow me to just rewind a little bit back into the whole District 20 landscape. We need to recognize that, yes, there are these few resale properties like Thomson 3, Jetscape, and even EMO Residence. But actually a lot of buyers, before they even consider either of these 3 projects. I think we need to recognize that District 20 is also an enclave of all the good schools, and people want to get into these good schools. That's why they want to be in this district. But there's one thing that you may not necessarily know, that actually these 3 different properties, right, are 1 kilometer of different schools. Okay, let's take for example, for Thomson 3, it's actually 1 kilometer of Aitong only. All right, so meaning to say that if you want to put your kid to a Catholic high or St. Nick's, Thomson 3 wouldn't be the default decision to go to. So actually, the reason why I'm bringing this to you is because some parents, right, they are coming to this area in hoping to put their kid into a specific school. Okay, so like Jadescape is 1 kilometer of Catholic High, but not 1 kilometer of Aitong or St. Nick's. Whereas for AMO, it's actually within 1 kilometer of Aitong and St. Nick's. And it's important to know this because for this District 20, if you look at the top 3 popular schools, based on 2025's ballot history, based on Phase 2B, which is those who go through parent volunteering, and Phase 2C who have no privilege at all, they all non-negotiable, they all need within 1 kilometer to even have a chance to ballot for the school. The reason why I'm bringing this to you is because if you are not out within 1 kilometer, then actually there is no chance to even talk about considering an entry to the school. So of course, assuming if you are watching this video today and a school factor is important to you, then of course your choices will be heavily skewed towards which property will be skewed towards within 1 kilometer of the desired school that you hope to put your kids into. But let's assume that that is no longer your order of importance. Then let's talk a little about price of Jadescape. Okay, so thank you for that. So for Jadescape, it's actually a project in 2023. Okay, again, for similar context, we use the 3-bedroom premium as comparison. Okay, we use the price quantum as well as PSF. And it's really heartening to know that today in the Jadescape resale environment, we are talking about a PSF that's trading consecutively between 2005 to 2006 PSF. And we're talking about quantums of about 2.7 mil to 3 mil. And let's again, using the same concept here of the lease reset disparity, for Jadescape, it's actually a project that's 99 years from 2018. So what that means is that actually it's only left 91 years. So again, we're using the same calculation that we want to bring this back to brand new 99. And we also want to talk about harmonization to also bring this back to the same apple-to-apple comparison. We realized that we're actually looking at a reset PSF of 3,000 PSF harmonized.
Oh, harmonized.
Yeah.
So this is a pre-harmonized project, right?
Correct. And later I'll just show you, actually I can show you now, for the floor plans. So I have actually Thomson 3 and Jadescape just side by side. And you realize that I have also taken the liberty to circle especially the wasted spaces. So earlier, just now I mentioned Thomson 3. Can you take a look at the balcony that extends all the way from the master bedroom to the bedroom 2 and then to the living? So that's really a huge wasted space that's really not usable because if you look at the shape of the balcony, you can't really put a dining table, to be honest. Okay, and then if you look at the entrance and then with the aircon ledgers as well, there's a very weird entrance diagonal corner. I'm very sure that's also not very feng shui friendly also, right, Master David?
Yeah. I think generally speaking, we also would not prefer to have something like this as well because from the feng shui perspective, you know, especially when you have a crooked entrance, you know, it also disrupts the energy of the qi flow. And of course, from the xuan guan perspective, this is also not a kind of xuan guan that can help to retain energy flow as well. I mean, which is also one of the things that usually as a feng shui master, when we evaluate feng shui layout for our clients, we pay a lot of attention to such factors. And I think another very important thing why, I think even personally as a property investors, I would not want to go for, Thomson 3 myself, because when I buy into this project, I know that I will be getting myself into a lot of wasted spaces. I mean, gone are the days that people dream of having like alfresco dining at the balcony, and you realize that in this case, this is not really that practical.
The amount of usable space that you actually get effectively is no different from, you will get a lot better from more relevant layouts. And okay, looking at the Jadescape layout, you realize that last time I don't know why it's a very popular thing to also have double balconies. So there's also a balcony at the master bedroom also. And the aircon ledgers, right, is as big as like a bedroom size last time. So all these spaces really add into the square foot that you're actually paying for. So effectively what you're getting is a lot lesser. So that's why it's so important to really compare things apple to apple. In today's context, with more relevant layouts, more efficient layouts, you're actually paying for exactly what you get. So if you're comparing effective PSF wise, you'll be surprised that at face value you think you're overpaying, wow, 2,700 to 3,000 PSF, but actually guess what? In the resale market, if you're looking at it from this lens, you are actually getting quite a good PSF entry for the newer ones today.
In fact, I would dare to say that, if Thomson Reserve is launched between 2007 to 3000, wow, we'll be getting a lot of value for money, because effectively you're paying for a 2017 or a 2023
That's right.
kind of price point, right, for a 2026 new launch, which is what makes it even more exciting for investors.
That's right. Maybe we can take this opportunity to also talk about the potential price prediction for Thomson Reserve. At this moment in time of recording, and there's not much information, especially in terms of official pricing. All right. There's also no floor plans being given. So actually, what we're doing here is we're using relevant examples to kind of like extrapolate what potentially Thomson Reserve will look like. Okay, so if we look at the price prediction of for Thomson Reserve, two notable projects that will bring to the audience attention actually will be number one, Sky at Holland. This is probably one of the most popular launches that happened sometime, I can't remember, was it 2024, 2025, but day one, 99% sold. So this was actually developed by the same pedigree of developers, a joint venture between UL, CapitaLand and Singland as well. Okay, and so they were averaging about 2,953 PSF. Also in the outskirts, in the far east Tampines, Parktown Residence, same developer consortium, also mega development, 1041 units. They also achieved an average price of 2,360 PSF. So why I'm bringing this to your attention is because I want to take a look at this land bid analysis which I've prepared. Okay, I just want to bring your attention to, yes, so for the outskirts, naturally your land cost is cheaper, but we want to take a look at what the break even for the developer is and what was average price that hit the headline, to then determine what was the average margin that the developers normally make for a harmonized project. Again, I emphasize that these two are very relevant because number one, they're same developers, so it's very likely that the same margin analysis will be similar. Number two, these two are all harmonized projects, so it's also very relevant to make this extrapolation to what Thomson Reserve will look like. So based on average margin of say around 30 to 40%, it's also safe to then draw the same comparison to Thomson Reserve. So as just now I mentioned earlier in this podcast, the land cost of Thomson Reserve is actually 1178 per PSF PPR. The break even for this Thomson Reserve is estimated to be about 2,000 per square foot per plot ratio, with a 40% margin, where we'll be landing an average price is approximately about 2.8 PSF, but naturally, of course, there will be a mixture of low floors to high floors. So I would say that a good range to estimate Thomson View's pricing would be about 2,007 to 3,000 PSF. Right, so it's pretty close to what your prediction is.
Wow, I think that will be a very attractive price point, because when we do all the lease reset analysis, audience will realize that this is actually comparable to Jadescape, comparable to AMO Residences, or even Thomson Tree, after considering the harmonization effect. And this would make this project particularly attractive because developer has gotten the land at a very attractive price, and also given the developer's track record of quality and premium finishing, it would also inspire more confidence, right, in investors when it comes to acquiring a project like this for investment.
That's right. I think Singaporeans are also, they are very gravitated towards the reputation of developers. So whenever a project is being developed by a renowned one, they definitely a lot more interest, or look forward to, what are the new designs or the updated designs, they always, they always catch the consumer's attention. That's for sure.
So Jared, educate me on this. What other factors that I should also be paying attention to, especially coming from your perspective as a 3 times PropNex millionaire? What other factors should I be considering when I looked at Thomson Reserve as an investor?
Okay, I always when we talk about investment, right? So we take a way about the emotions first. Okay, I always encourage my buyers, if you're really looking at investment, one thing for sure is you need to know what your time horizon is, because I'm very sure that this is not a property that most investors will hold forever. Okay, we need to decouple that mindset of this is going to be like I will hold forever. So there will come a point that you need to think about exit, right? Whether is it an exit 4 years later, whether it's an exit 10 years later, you always need to think about who your future buyer is going to be. I'm just going to emphasize again the point of how relevant layouts are in today's market. It's all about layouts, and it's all about what your exit price is going to be in terms of an investor point of view, not so much of location. Okay, so exit strategy analysis based on Thomson Tree and Thomson Reserve, okay, based on the very similar layout, the 3-bed premium. So I just want to give some context here. The 3-bed premium is probably the most kind of like the popular layout in today's home stayers. All right, this caters to approximately a family of 4, family of 5, and even a helper as well. So it's very versatile, I would say, for developments like this. I believe for Thomson Reserve, approximately about 50% of the units are catered for this size. Wow. So using the same size, Thomson Tree and Thomson Reserve, all right, you can see that for 1141 square feet versus a 1066 square feet, again, as mentioned just now for Thomson Tree, a lot of wasted space in the balconies and the aircon ledges and the weird shaped corner, and then doing a lease reset, you're actually talking about an effective price about 3.1 mil and a PSF about 3,001 PSF. Now look, if you're actually entering, say, at a mid-tier price matrix of an estimate of about 2.8, for example, you're easily buying into 200K cheaper into a project that is, say, 13 years older than you. And to me, that is a very important factor, because I want to bring to your attention here the concept of GFA harmonization. Today, what we're seeing with GFA harmonization is you're actually allowing to buy a brand new product that is the same pricing as something that's 7 years ago. So Master, let me ask you a question. Let's say today, if iPhone 14 and iPhone 17 were the same price, in terms of exit strategy, which one will you buy?
Definitely the latest iPhone. I think Jared, this analogy is really good, because I think the same thing is also happening, in the stock market as well. Because when investors look at, investment as a whole, we look at both the stock market as well as the real estate market. Now imagine if today, Microsoft is trading at a 40% discount from the all-time high, then we would naturally know that, wow, this is the best time to enter. Now, when it comes to real estate itself, I believe that the reason why developer has an advantage to present and to price their new launch at such an attractive price is because they had the chance to buy an en-bloc project at a discount. Because if I remember correctly, before Thomson Reserve is being acquired, they actually tried to get en-bloc 5 times.
5 times, yeah.
And 5 times it has failed. Until the most recent years, when it decided to give a discount, when the owners collectively decided to give an 11% discount, 12% discount, then finally it got sold to a consortium. Because when we are talking about a project of this kind of a land size itself, right? Naturally, not many developer would have the financial power to acquire this. And when a developer of this pedigree, come in, we all know that, hey, definitely, this project has a lot of potential, because no one would pay 810 million, right, inclusive of land betterment charge and lease top up, if the land has no potential. So I believe that this time around, what Thomson Reserve present to investors of today's market is an exclusive, a very rare opportunity to enter a very highly sought after residential project at a price point that is irresistible to many investors.
Exactly. I think you hit the spot. You hit the nail at the head. You hit the nail on the head. Because it's no doubt that the viewers out there already know the DNA of the project is good, right? Good potential, good location and all that sort of stuff. But what is really rare is you are not having to pay a premium for this good DNA. With good DNA projects, good location, good MRT, you always end up having to pay a premium, and then you just pray that hopefully you still make money, right? But for these instances, for Thomson Reserve, based on the price analysis and floor plan analysis, what we're saying is that you're buying into a good DNA at a price that is yesterday's pricing. Number one, you're supported by the downside protection from your resale market, because we've just analyzed the floor plans as well. And then, of course, you're supported by the developer pedigree that eventually will also give you that, exit strategy assurance as well. Bring your attention to the URA policies over time that really affects developers' net profit. So last time, back in the days, right, later I'll show you some examples. URA's policies change over time. And guess what? They change for the better of you, the consumer who is looking to buy a property. So last time, we realized that it all starts from 2008, where there's so many floor plans with bay windows, planter boxes, developers really capitalizing, monetizing all these layouts because they are effectively not billable to them, but they charge you for those spaces. And of course, over time, we see a reduction of that, but there was still also a lot of big balconies, big PES. So this is really the evolution of URA policies. And of course, most recently in 2022, we are now seeing the very good implementation with the GFA harmonization. So you can see the pre and the post harmonization, so many things have changed over time. So what that really means for you in District 20 is that last time you see like Flame Tree Park all the way in 1989. Some people will still argue with me and say, oh, it's freehold, so therefore it should be a good buy, etc., etc. But you think about it in terms of layout efficiency based on today's needs of families, an off-shade layout like that, actually a lot of buyers I've served today on the ground, they are not attracted to such layouts anymore. And today, freehold is more of a want rather than a need. A lot of the requirements today from buyers, they're focusing on actual needs, right? They need about livability, their budget constraint, they cannot buy too big houses, they need efficiency in terms of whatever they're paying for. So evolution of the floor plans over time have continuously improved year after year. Okay, and of course, the question to you is that if you're an investor looking to invest, should you buy something in the really outdated design or something a little bit more relevant, which has a longer runway? Think about why you want to go back to the history and buy something of the past, because these URA policies help consumers to really benefit rather than the developers. They keep up with times, with better layout efficiency and also site plan efficiency. You're getting a lot more value for your money and paying for actual space. And last but not least, I think, again, an updated design caters to a really stronger and more robust exit strategy. Yeah.
Wow. Jared, this is very insightful to see the evolution of how URA policies has been always improving to benefit consumers and investors like myself. So Jared, I understand as a 3 times PropNex millionaire, you definitely have your own proprietary method when it comes to evaluating a project like Thomson Reserve. So could you share more on your proprietary framework and method?
Okay, so again, for me, based on my framework, how I identify properties for my clients, I always adopt a 3P framework. Okay, I keep things simple, nothing fancy. All right, 3P. You might be wondering what the 3P is. Is first P, most important P that before you buy any property is really the price. Okay, price. Because if you're talking about investment, you talk about exit. The price differential between your sell and buy, the potential gain is really dependent on your entry price, and profit is realized at the exit, not at the entry. Okay, so just now, based on the price analysis, we have done the comparisons between the resale price disparity. We also have analyzed based on the future land cost for city fringe. We realized that there's also a price protection for your entry price today for Thomson Reserve as well. That's one. The second P of the 3P framework, we talk about position. Position really refers to floor plan protection versus the outdated design that we have seen that gives you a more future-proof buyers next time. And also stack analysis. But of course, at the time of recording, we have not really get information on the stack. But when the information is out and you want to have a more deep dive detailed analysis with me, please feel free to reach out. Okay, because certain stacks may be priced at a premium or at a discount that's only prevalent to agents, because we are doing the groundwork, we're doing the detailed analysis, and you as the buyer who's maybe just looking at surface level brochures or e-books, you may not have that granular detail, which you should if you are kind of like trying to devise your exit strategy. And the last P of the 3P framework is really the plan. When we talk about plan, we talk about the exit strategy again. How today, if you're entering at 2008 PSF, what will your exit look like in terms of 4 years later, 8 years later, down the road? So the 3P framework helps to analyze whether Thomson Reserve is a good buy or not. And based on everything that we have discussed so far, I would say if I were to rank this project from a scale of 1 to 10, I would be leaning towards an 8 to 9.
Wow, impressive. Great. Jared, thanks for sharing with me, and the audience on your proprietary framework and the very insightful analysis. It really enlightened me on how, this lease reset and also post-harmonization, adjustment made to the price point to this particular project, Thomson Reserve, actually makes a lot of sense, because now as investors, I can finally appreciate why this project, even if it is priced at 3,000 PSF, would have been very attractive, because we are essentially paying for a 2017 or a 2023 project price point, for a 2026 new launch. So I think this is something really exciting. Now, for the audience, Jared has been a client of Imperial Harvest since 2022, and I wanted to also review this surprise to our audience as well. Now, if today any one of the audience watching this video buys Thomson Reserve new launch through my client, Jared Tan, exclusively. Now, what you're going to get from Imperial Harvest will be 3 things. 1, a free floor plan analysis of the Thomson Reserve from the Imperial Feng Shui perspective. 2, a complimentary Feng Shui audit conducted by myself for your Thomson Reserve new launch unit upon TOP. 3, your existing residential unit will also get a complimentary Feng Shui assessment by Imperial Harvest. I will be the one personally conducting the Feng Shui audit for your existing residential home if you commit to a new launch purchase through my client, Mr. Jared Tan. 3 times PropNex Millionaire. And the reason why I have so much faith in Jared's analysis, because over the years, I have seen how Jared served many of the clients. In fact, Imperial Harvest myself, I've referred many of my clients to Jared, and I have full faith that Mr. Jared Tan will be able to provide excellent guidance on buyers of this particular project and how they can potentially navigate a successful exit when this project is due to sell. With that, we have come to the end of the Millionaire Realtor Insights, and I'd like to thank my client, Mr. Jared Tan, 3 times PropNex Millionaire, for attending this podcast interview, and I hope all of you have enjoyed the insightful session that we have had. Thank you.
Thank you.